Hi, all of you wonderful creative minds out there. Okay, so frequently uploading content to YouTube is not my strongest skill, I would say. But for the past year or so, I have been doing an excessive amount of development and testing of various flying structures. I'm just simply trying to find a meaningful set of design criteria for a DIY aircraft. And the one you see here is sort of a higher performance version. It's like a motor glider, and could potentially be developed into a solar cell powered aircraft. Although this version is not the one. It has too narrow wing chord for that, but it's still a good learning experience. And on the opposite side, I have the design criteria of sort of the go-kart of the skies. So one of the criteria was that it would be possible to control it only with a steering wheel and a gas pedal. So that has been the focus on this project. It has a huge surface area, so it would almost like parachute down. It's a low energy aircraft when it comes to flying characteristics. Of course, it will take a lot of power to make it fly, but it will fly slow and docile. And on the opposite of that, we have the super high performance flying wing. This is only a glider, but it's a radio control. So I have been doing testing with that as well. And it has an interesting wing structure. And and these are just 3 examples of what I've been up to. And they are sort of piling up at home, so I'm hanging them from the ceiling at work here. But this is super interesting and fun, and it's a good excuse for being out in the nature and doing flight testing. But you sort of get stuffed, even though it's exciting. Of course, I have new love now, and it's a super weird structure. I hope to get back to that in a later video, perhaps in a year, I don't know. But now it's spring, and I'm sort of like the boiling point in my brain when it comes to creativity. So I just have to blow off some steam, and I did. So we're living in these weird Corona crisis times, and there are a lot of sales going on in the stores right now, and I found a good deal on yoga balls, and I just wanted to find out if you could use balls as wheels on a vehicle like this, a 2-wheel vehicle. So that was the main point of the origin for this idea. I was simply curious to find out how it would work, or if it would work, and also what would the power requirement be for huge soft wheels like this. And let's just skip ahead and I'll show you the first trials in the woods with this vehicle. And here we are at my playground in the forest. This is this is the first version. The one that you saw in the background just previous here is slightly changed. I will get to that. I have around 250 watt hours of battery, and it's a 900 watt DC speed controller and a throttle handle, of course, to handle the power. And I also have since all my flight testing, I have got accustomed to Taranis telemetry system, so I'm just using the transmitter and receiver to have the amp read out to me, so that I can monitoring the amp draw during the testing of the vehicle. It's quite convenient actually. So now I've hanged the transmitter around the camera so that I can record the amp draw continuously while filming. Okay, so I'm going downhill, so it's not pulling any amps at all, but going uphill is of course a different story. And I can tell you right now already that on a flat level surface the amp draw is between 5 and 6 amps, and that corresponds to around 180 watt in like 10 kilometers an hour speed. So it's not terrible considering the wheels and the poor bearings I'm using. And here the chain skip, because it's a wooden mock-up structure, so I have a lot of flex in it. So when the motor really starts pulling hard on the chain, it flexes so much that the chain skips. So I really would need to fix that to be able to explore the full potential driving it out in the nature. But it still works for this kind of mild off-roading, but going uphill here the chain will skip. I would say that steering works surprisingly well. It's not exact, of course, but it's good enough to keep yourself balanced on the scooter. But of course the gravel will take its toll on the yoga balls. So I have a puncture here, although it's pretty fair quality yoga balls. But I came up with a simple solution to this that so far seems to work, and it looks like this. I went for the idea of just adding a layer of resistant material between the yoga ball and the Kevlar lines here. It's a heavy-duty covering material. It's fiber reinforced, and so far it seems to hold up well. Talking about holding up well, I mean, I just love these Kevlar lines. It's the 1,000-pound Kevlar lines. They are cheap and they are super resistant to abrasion and lightweight and everything. I just love them. Okay, yeah, so far that solution seems to work. Another thing that I needed to address is the chain skipping, so I added a idler sprocket, but that really doesn't solve the problem, because the problem is I'm using these flimsy axial bearings, but I'm loading them radially kind of, so the only reason I get away with it is because that the ball is actually pushing pretty hard axially on the bearings, but you can see here at the angle that they are pretty messed up anyway. So I would need like normal deep groove radial bearings, such as these that I use for the steering. So I would need to rebuild this, and of course in a more proper material as well, but it seems to work like a prototype mock-up something with using just plain plank here, wood. Another thing is that the frame turned out to be a little bit too short, so I have added like 20 centimeters here because it would wheelie on its back wheel when I turn the throttle going uphill before the chain skipping problem got worse by the bending of the bearing. I can actually wheelie this. So that was another thing that I solved. I think that is pretty much it for this video, and I hope to see you again within a year at least. Bye.